I'd like to say thank you to Chairman Betta of IPGA. I'd also like to welcome my colleagues from Canada, Honorable Minister of Agriculture David Merritt and Rick Burton, the Deputy as well as to greet the former Secretary of Agriculture, Mr. Bahugun and Mr. Singh. So welcome to everyone, as well as the other dignitaries and important guests. As President of the Global Pulse Confederation, I want to offer our very best wishes to IPGA on occasion of this biennial conference. And as some of you may know, members of the Global Pulse Confederation were in New Delhi earlier this week to celebrate World Pulses Day on February 10th. So it's really fitting that we're here in India to shine the spotlight on pulses and to recognize the role that farmers, consumers, governments all have in the pulse industry. Pulses connect countless people from countless countries throughout the world. And I'm really happy to have the conversation here because so many of the topics that are going to be discussed are the same, carry the same objectives that we have at the Global Pulse Confederation. We place extreme importance on increasing global pulse production, increasing global pulse consumption, and advocating for harmonized approaches by governments in all countries, such as addressing issues that policies make that impact trade, or how they approach sanitary and phytosanitary issues. We would really like to work together to tackle these concerns and find opportunities to enhance the pulse sector. As you may know, the Global Pulse Confederation was instrumental in working with members of the UN, United Nations, to declare 2016 as the International Year of Pulses. The contribution that pulse crops make towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN are vast and diverse. Pulses will improve human health and nutrition in the global population by contributing to a food system that can sustainably provide all the nutritional needs of more than 9 billion people. They help farming systems produce more sustainably for the health of the planet and increase the economic well-being for family farmers. Pulse crops are uniquely positioned to positively influence the health of people and the planet. GPC's huge success of 2016 was just the start of our organization's focus to elevate the awareness of pulses, along with the role that they play in meeting many of society's greatest needs. GPC again led the way for the United Nations to declare February 10th as World Pulses Day. The 2020 celebration was only the second, but from now on, every year, February 10th, will be marked as the day that pulses are celebrated around the world. But really, World Pulses Day is much more than a celebration. It's time to review the progress that we've made and the work yet to be done to improve pulse productivity on the farm. We need to evaluate the work still needed to ensure consumers understand the nutritional contribution pulses make to their health. When I was in New Delhi, I referred to pulses as everyday food. This designation of everyday food brings responsibilities. Every one of us in the pulse industry must ensure that pulses are available every day to all people. As an everyday food, we understand that pulses should be suited for a wide range of meals and snacks and consumed throughout the day. As people's tastes change and as dietary preferences change, we have to make sure that pulses remain relevant and are at the center of the plate. As an everyday food, we understand that pulses have to remain affordable. Relative to animal proteins like meat and milk, pulses can be positioned as an affordable plant-based protein, but it offers more than just a protein. Pulses should be seen as an energy source, a source of fiber, and a source of important vitamins and nutrients like folate and iron. Clearly, pulses are an everyday food, being both nutritious and affordable. As an everyday food, pulses have to be available to consumers every day in every market. Today, this may be a logistical challenge, but in ongoing discussions, we'll hear from the Mumbai Port Trust and the retail sector and to see how they can help us overcome the challenge. Now, in addition to my responsibilities as GPC president, I'm also a farmer and the owner of a pulse trading business. So not only do I understand the challenges of logistics and shipping all around the world, but I understand growing high-quality pulses year after year. All of us know the experiences that farmers have, and we're impacted by weather and pests during the growing season. Too little moisture can impact our planting decisions, and an extreme drought can devastate production. Too much moisture at the wrong time can foster disease or a loss of quality at harvest. Temperature is also critical. Pulses have an ideal temperature range that they grow in. Pulses are heavily impacted by weather and pests, and I think really important to note here, the future is quite uncertain as we deal with climate change. Now let's look at the role of a pulse trader and what we do, how that affects everyday food. If one were to define trade, we would simply say it's the movement of pulses of one type and one quality from an area of surplus to another area of shortage. Pulse trade happens every day in India, as pulses are moved from growing regions to consumers that live outside of that region. Pulse trade also extends to the movement of pulses from surplus regions outside of India to markets within India. The pulse trade may come from your neighbors in Myanmar or Nepal, or from the fields of other good farmers living far away in Australia, Russia, Canada, or the United States. Why should we focus on trade as part of everyday food? Well, trade is globally recognized as a very important part of food security and insurance against price volatility. So while India works diligently to become self-sufficient in pulse production, pulse trade will remain as India's best insurance to provide sufficient qualities and quantities of pulses, and more important, everyday pulses at prices that reflect global value, not just local ones. Trade acts as an insurance against production shortfalls that may be caused by weather or pests. Trade acts as an insurance against enormous price increases when growing demand exceeds local supply. And trade provides added security for food manufacturers who in many cases have very exacting quality requirements for their food ingredients. With this in mind, we, as members of the pulse trade within India and around the world, need to do more than promote the production and consumption of pulses as an everyday food. First, let me comment on our job as trading companies. We have an obligation to strengthen our contractual commitments and performance against the contracts that we sign. By honoring contracts, our companies can ensure that we are making a positive contribution to predictable pricing and to the stability of pulse supplies. But even with structured contracts, it's possible that disputes will still arise. With this in mind, GPC worked with GAFTA to implement a pulses contract, GPC number 1, and we linked membership in GPA to abiding by GAFTA arbitration awards. GPC membership is earned through the respect for the word of a contract and the awards from a neutral arbitration process. GPC and members of IPGA recognize that governments play an important role in ensuring food security, as well as protecting the health of their people and their environment. Government policies may change from time to time, and these changes may affect the contracts that have already been signed. But it's extremely important that governments and trade work together in these situations. IPGA and GPC can partner together to work with government to mitigate these problems in advance, to ensure that every possible consideration is given to existing contracts when government policy changes. Now, this could mean providing advance notice of new policies. This would allow contracts made in the future to take new rules into consideration. And at a minimum, governments can be encouraged to understand that cargo en route should be exempt from changes in policy. Together, IPGA and GPC can join with government to lead initiatives ensuring that there is full and complete understanding of the importance of predictable and transparent trade. Because many pulse crops take months to grow and farmers need time in advance to procure seed and other essentials for production, the supply tap can neither be turned on or off overnight. Advance notice of government policies that will impact pulse trading will most certainly contribute to a more stable production base and decrease the potential for price volatility. Our world in the pulse industry is changing rapidly. In addition to the need for pulses to meet the demand of traditional-based foods, an entirely new demand is rapidly developing for alternatives to meat animal meats and animal milks. Peas, lentils, and other pulse crops are meeting this demand. In North America alone, billions of dollars are being invested in new ingredient plants and in food manufacturing facilities to promote plant-based meats. China is now buying more peas from Canada on an annual basis than India bought in the past. Amazingly, most of these peas are being used to separate out protein and feed the explosion of growth that demands pulse protein. Europeans are leading the way with innovation on pulse ingredients and pulse-based foods. The Global Pulse Confederation wants to make sure that all of us are all ready for the changing way we eat and live. Pulses are an everyday food in India, and increasingly, they are used as an everyday food in countries around the world. By working together, we can ensure that farmers, pulse traders, pulse processors, food companies, and governments alike create conditions for pulses to be available at affordable prices, as well as being the cornerstone of everyday food policy. The Pulse Conclave 2020 brings many opportunities to meet new people and reacquaint with old friends. I wish you all success as you share your passion for pulses in this beautiful setting. But I'd also like to invite you to attend the Global Pulse Confederation Convention in Dubai in April. It will be held at the newly renovated Grand Hyatt Dubai from April 15th to the 18th. And this is a good plug here. Don't miss your opportunity to become a member of the President's Club and take part in a very special reception that I'm hosting during the convention. So all the details are available on the GPC website, or catch up with me or Randy Duckworth while we're at the conference for more information. Thank you for your time this morning, and I wish you the rest of the conference be very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President, Global Pulses Confederation, Ms. Cindy Brown, and the Director, IPGA, Mr. Praveen Dongre. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Dongre.